There's a morning Minyannaire every morning. We get together 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year. We were probably the first institution in the building that came back during COVID. We did it outside. I could make an easy argument, at least it's through my eyes, that this is the most important institution in the synagogue, and I'll tell you why. You are seeing people showing up literally at the worst times of their lives. The vast majority of the people are coming here because they've lost a loved one. And they've come, we don't discriminate against whether they're members of the synagogue or not. They just come because they want to honor those that passed away. And we've got 3 people here today that I've asked to give a so-called testimonial. That's what it is. The first one is going to be Bonnie Potash, and she will be followed by by David Leopold, and then Ellen Wohl.
Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. My name is Bonnie Potash, as you've heard, I've been up here. And I have been a member of Minyannaire for over 36 years. I appreciate this opportunity to share my experience in attending the morning minyan and being with the Minyannaires. What began as a religious obligation has over time blossomed into a meaningful and optimistic way to begin each day. This change occurred because of the supportive and welcoming atmosphere of the group. Over time, the camaraderie and friendship has strengthened and has become an important part of my life. Additionally, Yaakov prepares a mean cup of coffee, and one learns to consume stale bagels and pastry. As an additional benefit, interacting and socializing with the clergy is an added bonus and blessing. Thank you for your attention and allowing me to share my thoughts.
Thank you, Bonnie. So hi, I'm David Leopold. Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to start off with a little bit of a story. I started going to the Minyan about a year and a half ago when my father passed, but I wanted to start off with a story. I just came back from Israel. I was on a mission with about 12 people, and we went to the Gaza envelope, the southern part of Israel, which borders... Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? All right, okay. So I just got back from Israel. That's the story I want to start with. And I was with 12 people on a mission, Federation sponsored, and we went to the Gaza envelope, right on the border, all the way down through central Gaza, and cleaned up, worked at mostly kibbutz Kisufim, but also Afakim, which is a city nearby. We pruned trees, we cleaned kitchens, we cleaned, gardens, and did all kinds of things that haven't been done because the population of the kibbutz is living on the Dead Sea. And it was an amazing experience, not for me, but I think for the group, because it wasn't about us, it was about helping. And we're really at a time when Israel really needs help. And if you can go, go. Because I've been there more times than I can count in my life. Now is the time to go. Now is the time to volunteer. Now is the time to help our brothers and sisters in Israel. That said, I met a woman at Kibbutz Kisufim. Her name was Yaeli. And Yaeli has been a member of that kibbutz, she told me, 25, 30 years. And before that, I think, or during that period of time, maybe she was a member of Bari, which is another kibbutz that was viciously attacked. People were murdered. And Yaeli, on October 7th, spent 16 hours in her safe room, holding the door from the Hamas terrorists while protecting her sight-challenged daughter, who was locked in there with her. Husband was overseas. They survived, miraculously survived. Yaeli is now displaced, lives in the Dead Sea. She happened to be up at the kibbutz that day. And one thing she said to me reminded me of 2 things. She said to me that, the horror of fighting off the terrors, protecting her daughter's life, not knowing 1 hour to the next, 1 minute to the next, whether she was going to live, assuming she was going to die, that is something that will stay with her. But at the same time, she told me she doesn't want her tax dollars and her country, Israel, to be at the root of suffering of the children of people in Gaza as well. And that reminded me, that kind of humanity, it came out of that moment of a woman who had directly on the border suffered terror. I mean, I'm in no position to judge anybody who was there. But that moment reminded me of two things. First, of my father, which brought me to the synagogue to say Kaddish. And one time my father was a survivor. He fled the Nazis with my grandparents. And I asked him once when I got older, I said, Dad, why didn't you teach me to hate Germans? Because we weren't brought up that way in my house. My grandmother made Schwetzenkuchen, and, we had a lot of German culture in my house. And he said to me, one of the wisest things he ever said to me, maybe the most wise, is that if I taught you to hate me, to hate Germany, and to hate Germans, I would have taught you to hate me. Because they had no right to take that away. That's who I was, that's who I am. And Yaeli, her compassion at that moment of horror, that moment, the darkest moment of her life, the compassion for the children in Gaza and the children, or the people who are suffering at the hands of the settlers in the West Bank, is what being a Jew is all about. And how do I relate that to the Minyan? Well, when I came to the Minyan, obviously I came to say Kaddish. But I also began coming to the sermons and coming to the synagogue. And I've heard from the pulpit, from our clergy, about how we can hold in our hearts both our love and our anger, love for Israel, our anger and our horror for what happened, but also compassion for the innocent Palestinians that suffer, whether it be through famine or whether it be at the hands of settlers. I've heard that in that kind of compassion in the Shabbat Kavanah, which, by the way, if you haven't attended, is an amazing gift that our new clergy has brought us. Bob asked me why I joined the synagogue. There are tons of reasons why I joined. I go on and on. But I think those are the main reasons. The compassion, the teaching from the clergy here, all of you, the love that you see here. We celebrate the birthdays. We put children literally on pedestals every day. Sophie here is a main part of our minyan. When she's not there, everybody looks around. And that's not all the children here are raised up on pedestals. It's about the future. It's about where we're going. So I won't go on and on. I didn't so much join the synagogue as found an amazing community. And I implore every one of you, if you haven't, come to the minyan. It isn't just praying. It's really, for me anyway, it was about finding stability at a very difficult moment of my life. But also, life goes on. Other moments come. It is there for me when I'm happy. It is there for me when I need stability. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And I come in front of you today. I'll conclude with just amazing gratitude just to be here. So, Shabbat Shalom.
Which microphone do I use? The real one? What? I'm Ellen Wohl. I've been a member of B'nai Yeshurun ever since the merger with Beth Am in 1999. Years ago, my husband Jack and I were Shabbos morning regulars. During the pandemic, while I was saying Kaddish for my mother, Jack and I Zoomed Minyan every evening. When he died last May, I figured I'd say Kaddish on Zoom again. But when I woke up the first Monday morning, I was feeling very much alone. I knew I had to get out of the house. So I drove to B'nai Yeshurun, completely unprepared for what was about to happen. The sage is right. God appears when 10 Jews gather to pray. Not only is God there, but God is waiting for them. When I walked into Nickman Chapel, not only was God waiting for me, but rows filled with men and women who are about to become my support, my lifeline. My old friend Bobby Zelwin greeted me like he knew I was going to be there. He took me aside and he said, "You're going to find that this is the best place for you, better than any grief support group or any therapist. We'll be your people. Everyone here has lost someone significant, someone we love. We get you." I felt I had just gained access to the best-kept secret in town. As I scanned the room, I saw a few familiar faces. Oh, I thought, do they all have Yortzeit today? But I was one of the few standing when it was time to say Mourner's Kaddish. Now, I knew my father always went to Minyan at Betham just because, yet it never occurred to me that it was the same with these people. In the chapel, I, of course, felt uplifted davening as part of the Minyan. But clearly, God's presence follows us into the breakfast room. This is where the Minyannaires, truly the friendliest, most welcoming group ever, leaps into action. They're a living, breathing congregation where every single person matters, every single person counts. When Jack died, I was pretty shell-shocked. I lost my confidence and my voice. During the next 11 months, over a shot of whiskey, a cup of coffee, and a bagel, I discovered that these men and women who all lost someone significant still found joy in living. There was hope for me. Storytelling is one way to share a piece of ourselves while encouraging confidence and strength. Kibitzing around the breakfast table or just milling around, we share stories with clear, colorful images of our lives and our loved ones. We talk about holidays and families. We tell jokes, give gardening tips, and the name of a good handyman. There's chatter of world events, Cleveland sports, and just good old Jewish geography. Recipes are shared, and a few of us even add a hands-on lesson in making blintzes. You see, we thrive when we are together. We all flourish by way of friendship and camaraderie. Naming every single person who has made a difference in my life would sound like the old Mickey Mouse roll call, without the ears, tap dancing, and music. But you know who you are. Well, I was evolving through a year with life that went from being Jack and Ellen to just being Ellen. You have helped me make a soft landing. Thank you for welcoming me into this incredible group. I'm honored that I get to call you my friends. After saying Potash for 11 months, I was asked, are you going to keep coming to Minyan? I never gave it a second thought. Why would I stop? These are my people now, my friends. And looking ahead, maybe I can be the support someone else needs. I'm proudly one of them, one of us, and we'll all be waiting there with God. Thank you for letting me share my story. Good Shabbos, and make it a good day.
Once in a while, we do have fresh bagels, too.
White
Anyway,
fish here.
I just want to recognize a couple people. I'd like to thank Murray Berkowitz and Tova Cohn for preparing today's luncheon for us. And I'd be remiss, there's a couple people in the last 13 or 14 months that were very, very big parts of our Minyan that have passed. Dr. Malcolm Brahms, who came on Wednesday, died on Sunday at 103 plus, and Henrik Sperling, who unfortunately couldn't come the last couple years of his life, but was a very, very big part of the Minyan. Now we've got Nedra as our so-called, it was Sophie at 10 and Doc at 103 at one time. Now we just got Nedra and Sophie at 11 or 11 coming in. So I just want to recognize those people. And I like to say, I said this the other day, we're the best kept secret in this shul, but those that come realize that that it's worthwhile, particularly if you're grieving for a loved one. And on that note, make it a good day and a good Shabbos.
Thank you to Robert and all of our speakers and all of our Minyan. As Robert said, it is the crown jewel of our daily runnings of our congregation.